So, Jenny, you're talking to us about a second topic this evening, and that's child online safety. So things like grooming, minimising unwanted contact, personal image sharing and cyberbullying. And I know this is going to be great interest for lots of people who are concerned about their safety of their children. So over to you for that.
So, I mean, this isn't something that gets reported probably as commonly as other crime, thank goodness. But it's just something that we all need to be aware of and careful of. So, yeah, I've got a presentation here prepared about some child online safety. Okay, so, I mean, this slide basically, actually, before I do go into the presentation, I just wanted to point out to anyone who's listening that some of the content in this presentation may not be appropriate for small children. It is prepared for parents mainly. So just a heads up if there's any small children in the room.
And you can guarantee now the adults will want to look at it closely.
Maybe, yeah. So, I mean, the information on this first slide, it's basically saying, you know, that technology is everywhere these days. We can't avoid it. We can't hide our children from technology. They're all growing up with it. It's a massive part of their lives, and we need to learn how to keep them safe while they use it. So I was surprised by that statistic, an average number of 7 devices per household. And 97% of households with children under 15 have access to the internet. That's probably not so surprising, I guess, these days. So with the internet, with all its benefits, presents new dangers to kids, and parents need to be aware of these dangers. So parents need to be involved with their children's internet experience, and teaching children how to handle themselves on the internet is important. So there are also filtering software packages, website rating schemes designed to help parents guide their children's internet experience and still allow them to be a little independent on the internet. So I've just got a quote here from the Queensland Police. Criminal offenders are highly skilled at exploiting new modes of communication to gain access to children and young people. Children and young people can easily access adults-only material if there are no protective mechanisms in place. So that's quite a scary thought there. So, I mean, if the criminal offenders are all over these new modes of communication, then the parents need to be too, to keep the kids safe. So what is online grooming? So online grooming is basically when an adult uses the internet to make contact with someone under the age of 16 with the intention of establishing a sexual relationship. So the legislation behind it, so this just relates to grooming. So it is a crime under the crime, or an offence under the Crimes Act. An adult person who intentionally procures a child for unlawful sexual activity is guilty of an offence. A child is defined in the Crimes Act as a person under the age of 16. So where can online grooming happen? Well, you've got your messaging apps, social media, gaming sites, emails, chat rooms. Many parents may not be aware that chat functions appear on several popular online games, applications and social networking platforms. Anonymous chat can provide a platform for online child sex offenders to target young people. So who is your child talking to? Beware of the connections your children are making. Not everyone online is who they say they are. So an example I want to give of this particular slide is there was a case that I heard of a couple of years ago. A boy who was about 14 or 15 years old was made friends with someone or made contact with someone online posing as a 13-year-old girl, sent him nude pictures of a 13-year-old girl that he thought was the person that he'd made friends with, of course, and then asked that boy to send pictures back, still posing obviously as the 13-year-old girl. So he did. And then that online predator then started to blackmail that boy to send more pictures. And the boy was terrified. Like he actually threatened to get the pictures that he'd sent and post them to all his social media contacts. And so he's terrified. So he sent more pictures. And then it got to a point where he was scared to tell his parents about what had happened. He felt, you know, that he'd get in trouble about what he'd done. So this is why it's very important that we need to talk to our children and make them understand that, like, well, I guess what I say to my daughter is someone you're talking to on the internet is a stranger, just like a man in the street that you don't know is a stranger. This person is a stranger. Even though you think it's a child, it may not be. So minimise unwanted contact, use nicknames online, don't disclose your address or phone numbers, don't post photos that show identity or location. For example, like some parents might like to post pictures of their child's first day at school on Facebook, but then you're basically saying, oh, hi everyone, I've got a 5-year-old and this is the school they go to. So you just have to be aware of that. Keep communication open. So that's with your children. Always be talking to them about what they're doing online. They shouldn't meet anyone they have met online without permission. Check your security settings and consider disabling chat functions on some of the apps they're using or games they're playing. So supervision, very important. Have the computer or device out in the lounge room or somewhere where you can supervise what they're doing and they're not just hidden alone in their bedroom. Stay engaged with their online activity. Explore the online world with them so it doesn't become a solitary thing. Think about their readiness for social media and build resilience. So know the parental control options that are available. Be clear about the rules online. Know the device your children are using. Know how they're using that device. Ensure the devices are protected by a password or PIN so your child cannot accidentally come across inappropriate content. Okay, so I'll move on now to personal image sharing. So a lot of people may know that as sexting. It often gets referred to. So it basically just means sharing of sexually explicit photos. So once posted, you never know where the images will end up. So we did get a report on the North Shore of a young girl on Snapchat who was offered money for, so someone made friends with her on Snapchat and offered her money for nude pictures. I think she was 14 or something. So something to be aware of. So because some kids might love the opportunity of earning $200 or $300. So yeah, some of the images are meant to disappear, but they can be saved. So some of those things like Snapchat where they think the image won't be saved, it can be. So and then stored without you knowing. So if you become aware of sexual or naked videos or photos of your child online, report them to the platform and have them removed. If you think they're malicious or a result of grooming, you should contact the police. So I've just got some legislation there as well about just basically sexual images of children. It is an offence, production, dissemination or possession of child abuse material under the Crimes Act. So the government did relax some of the laws a few years ago in relation to children sending other children images. But it says in the legislation now that proceedings against a child or young person must be instituted or approved by the Department of Public Prosecutions. So encourage open discussions with your children about what content they're sharing. Talk about some tactics they could use if they feel pressured to send images. Avoid judging and labelling and consider seeking advice from support services. So I'll just also cover cyberbullying. So that's basically behaviour such as sending abusive messages, hurtful images or videos, nasty online gossip. If your child is being cyberbullied, there's a really good website, esafety.gov.au, that gives a lot of great advice. If your child's physical safety is at risk, then you should call the police. So in relation to cyberbullying, in some cases it can be classed as a telecommunications offence, which that's basically using a carriage service to menace, harass or cause offence. And a carriage service basically just means a phone, a computer, so phone calls, text messages, emails, social media messaging can all be offences under, or can all be classed as a telecommunications offence. And just some good resources there. in regards to e-safety for kids. Think You Know is a good one. That's the Australian Federal Police. E-safety, Kids Guardian, and just phone numbers for the police station and Crime Stoppers.
Yeah. So people can just phone the police station if they're worried. Can they? You'll give them advice? How does that work?
People, sorry?
If they're worried about their children or cyberbullying or any of these issues that you've raised, the grooming, they can just phone the local police station?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, that's good. And we note that there were a lot of resources there, and this will be available after tonight. So if you missed those details, you can certainly go and have a look at the slideshow again. Lots of great information. You mentioned about cyberbullying. What sort of signs should parents be looking for if they're worried about their children? Are there general signs that you could tell? Because sometimes kids are very private and they don't share or discuss with the parents. Are there telltale signs that there might be a problem?
I mean, if the cyberbullying is relating to people at school, you may find they're becoming disengaged from school a little bit, not wanting to go to school. They might be, you know, not their normal happy self. I guess they might be a bit more anxious. These are probably questions better for a psychologist or someone like that to answer. But
yeah. Okay. And also just got a question about cyberbullying. Does it relate to children or adults as well?
Well, adults can certainly probably benefit from looking at there is information relating to adults on that e-safety website, and the telecommunications offences can relate to adults or children, yes, to anyone.
Yeah. I guess with the prevalence of social media these days, I've certainly seen some sort of eyebrow-raising exchanges on social media between adults, and, you know, this is in the adult world, so I can imagine that people would be not feeling very comfortable about those exchanges either. And we've had some terrible outcomes from Twitter trolls and all sorts. So
and a lot of famous people I've noticed are often subject to that.
Yeah, I know as Mayor that I received some unsavoury comments on some points, but I certainly just try to remove myself from that, or if there's a particular troublesome person, I look at blocking them and making sure that they go through appropriate channels rather than leaving anonymous messages with sometimes fake accounts. So yeah, we all need to be vigilant about it, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do recommend that anyone who's concerned about cyberbullying or any online behaviour should really check out that e-safety website. There's just so much information on there that I obviously couldn't put into.
Yeah, fantastic. And I know that the schools too can be a great source of support. Yeah, the counsellors at schools can be absolutely fantastic support, and they will have access to all these resources, I imagine, that you've outlined too. Yeah. Well, interesting job that you have, Jenny. I don't know if I'd like to do it myself, but thank you so much for sharing your time with us this evening. It's been some terrific information. Lots of things to be aware of out there in the community, not only for children, who said, but adults as well. And we advise everyone to keep informed as to what you can and can't do, and what to do if you've got a problem. And of course, the police is a great resource in itself. And we do thank you for all you do in our community.
Thank you.
We have a terrific relationship with the police here in the city of Willoughby. Good to know that we're not being overwhelmed by crime, but I guess what you're saying tonight is to be vigilant.
Yes.
Yeah, vigilant and protect yourself. So, and don't be silly. Common sense approach. Yeah. Thank you, Jenny. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.